Hey everybody, today we're going to be learning how to draw Lazarus. Lazarus was dead and came to life through Jesus' power. So we're going to draw two versions. One is a simple version on the left, and on the right, a little more advanced version. So get out your pencils and erasers and markers and coloring sets, and let's go. First step is usually always we're going to draw a circle for the head. Practice drawing your circles. It can be hard at times, but keep practicing. Now we're going to do two eyes. Now we're going to do two slight smiley face shapes. One below the eyes and one above. Now this to me kind of looks like a ninja. But now we're going to do two more lines. One up there and one across right here. Now we're going to do two more. One slightly smiley face this way and one down a little bit this way. All right, the head is done. Now we're going to do two lines from the head going down. One. Now we're going to do his arms. So I want one arm going down this way, and then one arm going over this way. Right about that. Now we're going to keep it simple. We're just going to do a circle or an oval for his hands. Circle, circle. All right, now we're going to do a smiley face shape to connect the bottom. All right, now we're going to complete his two legs. Two lines down on this side, and then two lines kind of over on this side, kind of like he's walking. All right, now we're going to do two oval shapes. One right here, and one kind of going up like this. All right, now let's add the fun lines. We'll do two curved lines right here. Two more on this arm. Now we're going to do more of a straight line going across. We're going to skip his arm and follow through on the other side. So 1, 2, and 3. Next step, we're going to do two on this side. 1, 2, and then two on the side. There we go. Now as an extra thing, I think we're going to add a few more lines onto his hands and feet. You don't have to. Let's see how it looks. 1, 2. Oh yeah, I think it looks great. And then 1, 2. All right, so here's Lazarus. Now, the last step is he was dead. He was buried in a tomb, so we're going to draw the tomb. So to draw the tomb, we're going to start at the top of his head, and we're going to make a semicircle. It's going to be a rainbow shape, like this, and then we'll go straight down. So here we go. Ready? We're going to go big rainbow shape, like that. And we're going to go straight down. That's the next step, and then across. All right, so that's Lazarus simple. Now, looks like in this case, yeah, it's okay. In reality, we would see that the opening like right on where his leg is, but we won't show it. But when we color it, we're gonna color this in nicely. So now let's do the more advanced version. This one can be pretty fun. So now let's go on the left here, make some space. It's gonna be plenty big, so I'm gonna start plenty far over here. I think I'll go right about here. So instead of drawing a circle, we're gonna do an oval. So this is more of a realistic version, more advanced version, but you know, in real life, people's heads are more like ovals than circles. But all right, here we go. I'm going to do two eyes, a little bit smaller than the other one. Now we're going to do two shapes here, similar to the other one. 1, 2. Sorry, two curved lines. Next up, we're going to go two more. One right here and one right here. Next up, we're going to do two more. 1, 2. All right. Next up, we're going to go two lines down for the neck. Now we're going to do a smiley face shape to connect it. Now we're going to do two two curves like this. So one over here and one over here. All right, so that's his shoulders. Now we're going to do his arms going out. So his arm's going to be quite a bit longer than this more simplified version. So here we go. I'm going to start out 1, 2. And then over here, we're going to go 1, 2. All right, now stating the obvious here, this is going to kind of look like a mummy walking out, but I mean, this is for teaching, so I think it is impactful to kind of see him walking out, and so I know it looks like a mummy. It's not on purpose, but it's just to show impact, show that it's interesting. All right, now we're going to close those shapes with two curved lines. So 1, 2, like that. Now we're going to draw the thumb on top. It's just going to be kind of a little sausage line like that, and a little sausage line like that. Now we're just going to connect it with a half oval. 1 and 2. So it's almost like he's wearing mittens, where you just see the thumb. All right, now we're going to extend his torso down. We're going to continue this left side down on this side and down on this side. All right. And we're going to end his torso by drawing a slight smiley face shape. Now let's go down to his legs. We'll go 1, 2 for one step. Let's finish that leg off by giving him a little oval to connect his foot. Now this other leg I want to be kind of bent. It's not going to be as simple as this. It's going to be a little bit more realistic, whereas this is more just kind of, the legs are stiff. But in this one, we're going to have his knee bend. So a little more complicated, but we're just going to go half the way down left before it bends. So we're just going to go 1 and then 2, just like that. Now we're going to go almost straight down. 1. Looks like this one's going a little further. And then 2. Okay, just about like that. Now we're going to complete that foot, drawing a little oval form to complete that. All right. Now if you can draw that, then you can draw lots of things with the human shape. Now here's the fun part. We're going to wrap them up like a mummy. So in Jewish days, biblical times, I don't know the details of how they wrapped up people, but there was at least a napkin on his face, and they were dressed in oils and spices, and their bodies were wrapped up somehow. So anyway, we're going to use our imagination on how this is. But here we go. Let's start with the chest. We're going to do some big ones first, okay? And we're going to follow like, we're not going to do completely straight lines. We're going to do kind of smiley face shapes because, his body is curved. It's not just this straight, flat thing. There's some roundness to it. So we're going to keep those shapes in mind. Okay, so one there and one there. One here and one here. And let's do one more right here. All right, we're going to do a similar concept following the curvature of his arms. We're going to make these curves. So we're going to do about 4 on this arm. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4. As you can see already, that almost gives the illusion that this is a 3D object, kind of like a cylinder. It's good to think of the body parts as cylinders, actually. And let's do another 3 or 4 on this one. Let's go 1, 2, looks like just 3. All right, now we're going to do 2 more on the hands. 1, 2. And we're going to follow that same concept on his pelvis and legs. So let's do 1. Yeah, 1 right there. Now let's go on his legs. This time I'm going to go and follow the kind of a similar way of his arm there. Instead of a downward spiral, I'm going to do up on this one because it's kind of lifted up. So I'm going to go 1, 2. And then on this one, I'm actually going to go down. So kind of a rainbow shape. And then this one, I'm going to do kind of a smiley face shape. 1, 2. All right. Now on this leg, since it's going all the way down, I'm going to do all smiley face shapes. Going to go 1, 2. And let's do 3, 4. 3, 4. And on the foot, I'm going to have these be rainbow shapes. Go 1, 2. And then 1, 2. All right. Now we're going to add a little bit of details to this one that we didn't add to this other one. So I'm going to do like little crease marks throughout on each side. So here we go. Let's start out with the head. Let's do one right here, just kind of a half kind of fold crease mark. Let's do 1, 2. And then let's do 3, 4. All right, just to add a little more detail. Let's do some on his arm. Let's go 1, 2. And then 3. Yeah, 1, 2, 3 on his arm. Let's do a few over here. 1, 2, 3. Kind of like alternating the sides. 1, 2, 3. Now let's do his chest. Let's do 1 here and 1 here. And let's do 1, 2, and 3 to finish out his chest. I think there needs to be one more right here. This area looks a little bare, so I'm just going to add one more that goes this way. Yeah. And if we want, we can actually do another loop to kind of complete his arm right there. I think that's what we should do. All right, so let's do his legs now. Some crease marks. Let's go 1, 2, and then 3, 4, 5. On the left here, 1, 2, and then 3, 4. Now I'll do a couple on his feet, and 1, 2. So adding those crease marks really does add a lot of just more details. I think it makes it look a little more interesting. It gives it even kind of a texture. And if you want, we could do one more on his neck there, right there. One crease on his neck. All right, now let's do the tomb. This tomb's going to be a lot more 3D than the, this tomb opening's going to be a lot more 3D than this one. So similar shape on the top. We're going to do not a total rainbow shape. We're going to do kind of a quarter rainbow shape. So just a quarter curve. So I'll show you what I mean. Just a curve like that. All right. Now we're going to do a straight line across. Now we're going to do kind of the opposite side, another quarter curve line. All right, see that? Now I'm going to go straight down with this, all the way down to about where his heel is. Now to connect these, I'm going to do more of a curved line, not totally straight, I'm going to do slightly curved. All right, now to make this 3D, we're going to start right here, and we're going to follow that same curve. Okay, we'll do a quarter curved. You can stop right there. All right. Now I'm going to do a straight line all the way down. But I'm not going to go all the way down. I'm going to stop right about here. Okay, so maybe I'll put a little dot here just to know where I'm going to stop. So here we go. Connect the dot here. Okay. So now here's where the 3D magic comes. We're going to, from this edge, we're going to do one line down over here. And now we're going to do another line over here. There we have it. There's our kind of 3D opening into the tomb. Now, I do want to add some more details, some more kind of like cracks and crevices to this tomb. So let's start on the top part of it here. Let's do about 7 kind of just squiggly lines going up, okay? And you don't have to, you can go fast if you want, just kind of let your hand flow, or you can go slow. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Looks like I got just 6 of them. But you can go slow on that if you want, but just about 6 of them there. Now let's put a few more on the side here. Let's do about 6 of them again. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Looks like I got 7. So the 7th day, the Lord rested. The 7th day. All right. Now let's do some more here. Let's do now. On this bottom part, I want to do a few. But I'm going to follow kind of this. See this curve, this line right here, this angle. I kind of want to follow that angle. So let's do about 3 of them. 1, 2, 3. And I'll do 1 on this side too. 1. All right. I want to do a few on this inside edge of the tomb opening here. I'm going to follow the same curve of that line, the same angle. So I'm going to go 1, and then I'm going to go 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now I'm just going to do a small, a little more details just throughout, just maybe adding another crack line to some of these. Maybe just a little dot even to some of these things. Just adding little details. Little dots there. All right. So the drawing is done. Now I'm going to pull out the colors. And we're going to talk about this story. All right, to color this time I'm going to be using some colored pencils. I'm just using red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple. And in this time I'm going to mix, I'm going to do a mix of warm colors on the left and cool colors on the right. So the warm colors, in my view, the warm colors are red, orange, yellow. And then for me, the cool colors are going to be green, blue, and purple. All right, so there's a little bit of color theory. But I'm going to have warm colors on the left, showing that Lazarus is walking towards Christ. Christ and Lazarus were friends, and Christ comes to visit him, knowing that he had died, but knowing that he was going to use God's power to raise him from the dead. And so, Christ tells Lazarus to come forth, and Lazarus is brought back to life, and he walks out of the tomb and walks towards Jesus. So on the left side, I'm going to kind of shade the left side of this with the warm colors because he's walking towards Christ, and then on the right side, it's going to be more of the cool colors because the right is kind of the death, represents death and darkness. So let's start out with light colors. It's always good to go light to dark, and I always like starting out with yellow. So let's do it. So first of all, I'm going to do a light shade of yellow on his skin. The only part that I really, in this drawing, the only skin part is on his eyes. Surrounding his eyes. So that's the only little part of skin. We'll do a light shade of yellow there. And to make skin color, we're going to mix a few colors. A little bit of orange and red. But first, let's just do past yellow. Now, on the left side of him, I'm going to shade the left side with just kind of a line of yellow. All right. So left side of his face, and arm and hands. Left side of his body. Left side of leg. Top of his foot. All right, do the same on this side right over here. So left side, nice line of yellow. It's good to press lightly at first. If you feel confident in what you're doing, you can press a little bit harder. But it's always good to press soft. You should draw soft and color soft first, and then you can always go darker later. But yeah, I just want a line, kind of like a thin highlight line on the left side of him. Okay, we'll see at the end here. Hopefully it turns out really cool looking. So yeah, I'm liking that already. So he's walking towards Christ. Now, let's pull out our orange, and we're going to just color softly into his skin color. So let's just color very softly, make kind of a tan color with mixing the orange with the yellow. I'm going to give him a little shadow here. I'm going to press a little bit harder on the top. We're going to say there's a little shadow there. And I'm going to give a little bit of shadow on the right side with orange, pressing a little bit harder. All right, do the same over here. All right, now let's jump into our cooler colors here. So in my mind, what he's wearing is bandaging is mostly white, but it can have a light side and a dark side to it. So let's get out let's start with blue first. And very lightly, I want to just, similar to what we did with the yellow, I want to just do a very light blue line on the right side of it. This is going to be kind of our shadow side. So let's just start out with a line of shadow on the right. This is, I don't know exactly what color this is as far as like what shade of blue, but it looks like just kind of a dark blue. Dark blue is best for this one. You could use a sky blue, but it'll look better if it's a dark blue. All right, so already this is kind of giving me the illusion of a real shadow. So let's do the same thing on, well, let's get his arms. Oops. Let's get the bottom of his arms. Both sides. Try to make it thin. And then the bottom of his leg over here. The side of his leg and foot there. All right, let's do the same over here. I don't know if you've ever done this before, but already I think this is having a cool, really cool effect on just highlight versus shadow. And we'll do the bottom of that. Now let's do this leg and foot. All right, already, I don't know if you're convinced, but I'm convinced. I think that's looking pretty good. Now we're going to do some cool other effects with the shadows. There's going to be a natural shadow underneath his chin. So let's do it over here first. Just very lightly, do a little bit of a shadow underneath his chin. Over here. Let's do the same over here. Okay, now there's other obvious spots where there's going to be a shadow. So the main one I'm seeing right now is underneath this arm over here. Oh, I forgot to shade the bottom of this arm. But underneath this arm, there's going to be a little bit of a shadow, naturally. Okay, let's do the same over here. There's going to be a little bit of a shadow underneath. Onto his torso a little bit. Okay, I think that's looking good. Now we're going to do a little bit of advanced shading where on where the lines are of what he's wrapped with, we're going to do a little bit of shading on those lines too. So I'll show you what I mean. So let's start with the simple one first. Underneath the line, I'm just going to do a little bit of it on some of these. So a little bit there, a little bit here, just some of that shadow peeking up underneath some of these things. Maybe a little bit here. I think a little bit underneath that one, underneath that, and a little bit on that one. And I'm focusing on the right side because the right side is where most of the shadows are at. All right, let's do a little bit under this one and this one. See, we're just giving us a little bit more shadow, just kind of popping in under those lines. Do underneath these lines. All right, I think that's looking pretty good. All right, let's do that same thing over on the more advanced version. We're just gonna put a little bit of more shadow where we see those lines. Focused on the right side, the shadow side. So yeah, the story goes, I'm not going to say all the details, but Jesus was friends with many people, but one of his friends was a family of three siblings. There was Mary. There's lots of Marys, but this Mary is the Mary of Bethany. There was Mary, and then she had a sister named Martha, and then they both had a brother named Lazarus, and they were friends. They were friends. If you ever watched The Chosen, I think they did a pretty good job at portraying his friendship with Lazarus. Um, they put in some more character to kind of visualize what these people might have looked like, how they might have acted and treated each other, and I think they did a pretty good job of capturing the spirit of friendship there between Jesus and Lazarus. All right, so I think that's looking pretty good. So yeah, one thing I'm doing too is I'm kind of doing more of a darker core shadow on the right. Not clear at the very edge, but near the edge, I'm putting more of a dark line there. And sometimes you'll see that it's called a core shadow. A little more advanced, but I just happened to put that in there just for fun. All right. Yeah, I think that's looking pretty. Let me put more of a core shadow over here. Just pressing very hard, giving kind of this core shadow line. I'll make that a little darker underneath his chin too. All right. Okay, I think he's looking pretty good. Now let's start coloring the tomb. So we're doing light to dark. So let's start. I'm gonna color kind of this outer wall a little bit. So I'm staying with the blue. I'm just gonna go up and down a little bit, very lightly. Just kind of shading a little bit. Kind of going up and down, even in the pattern of which I color. Still going up and down over here. Just giving a light indication that there's some solid, something solid there. The wall. Where there's cracks, you can press a little bit harder and put some more shadowy darkness where those lines are. I think that would look good. Okay, I'll do the same over here. Instead of going up and down, I'm going to follow that angle of this line right here. So I'm going to just kind of color lightly in there a little bit. Soft at first. A little bit darker around those lines. I think you like the effect that gives. Okay, same thing over here. I'm going to follow that curve, and then I'll go down. Color a little darker on those cracks. All right, that's our first pass. We'll do a little bit of shading at the top here too. Just up and down, just nice and soft. All right, I think that's good on the simple version. Now let's pull out our purple. I think we put enough blue in this. Let's pull out our purple, and let's start shading. Let's do just a light pass in this dark void. So I think I'm just going to go kind of at an angle like this. I'm coloring softly. I don't want to color too hard. Obviously, we could make this pitch black. I think it would be more interesting if it was more colorful. I think a dark purple, purple or dark purple, I think is more interesting. But I'm going to try to keep that consistent angle. It's kind of like a 45-degree angle throughout. I'll try at least. If you have a consistent angle when you're shading or coloring, I think you'll see that it looks nice when it's more uniform. And what I mean by that is if I colored like this, I would kind of lose some of that nice texture. So I'll try to keep that same angle. It's a little bit of a workout. I think you'll get kind of tired. So just take a rest some time, stretch out your fingers. It is good actually to stretch your fingers, stretch your wrist, give your hand a little break. It's really good to do that. So yeah, feel free to pause the video, get up, stretch. I think I'll pause the video here. I'll just do a little stretching. All right, good. You feel refreshed when you stretch. But yeah, so to continue the story, Christ and these three individuals, Mary, Martha, and Lazarus, they were friends. And at some point, I don't remember the details, but Jesus and his apostles were out preaching the gospel, out ministering, and they were in a different city. And someone came to Jesus and his disciples, or maybe it was some of his disciples, I don't remember, but they said, "Hey, Jesus, your friend Lazarus is really sick. He's like so sick, it looks like he's going to die." But then Jesus said, "You know what?" And Jesus knew. Jesus knew this was going to happen, or somehow God revealed to him that this was going to happen, or how it would happen. And so Jesus said, he knew. He said, "You know what? This isn't a sickness unto death. He's actually sick to glorify God. This is a chance for God to show his power through me." And so Jesus was not worried. And Jesus didn't leave immediately. He didn't leave immediately to see his friend, because he actually wanted to wait until he had died, because he knew this is an opportunity to really show people that he was the Son of God. He really did have power to do miracles. He really was the Savior of the world. And so they waited an extra 2 days, and then they made their way to the city. But he waited an extra 2 days on purpose, just to give it more time. All right, so now I've done my first pass on purples in those, and so now we have the opportunity. I want to put a little bit more purple on this inside lip, on these edges. So I'm going to mix a little bit of purple in with this blue over here, and I'm going to press a little darker. Sorry, press a little harder to make it darker, especially with those cracks. So Jesus comes, and he finally comes with his disciples, and everyone's there. I mean, he's actually been buried for. By the time he gets there, he's been buried for 4 days. 4 days. So I believe there was a belief with the Jews at that time that sometimes after a person died, their spirit would stay close to their body for 3 days. But then by the 4th day, the spirit was totally gone. The spirit wasn't even close by. And so Jesus did that on purpose. He knew that they had that belief. And so he purposely waited until it was 4 days. And anyway, by the time he got there, though, they were still in a phase of mourning and crying, and everyone was sad and upset. And, I wish I knew which one it was, but it was either Mary or Martha. She saw Jesus, and, well, both of them, actually, both the sisters, they were still sad. They lost their brother, and they were crying. And when they saw Jesus come, they ran to him and said, "Oh, Jesus," or one of them ran to him and said, "Jesus, if you would have been here, Lazarus, my brother wouldn't have died. If you just would have been here, I know you could have healed him." And he said, "Don't worry, your brother will rise again." And the woman was like, well, she was thinking about the resurrection. She's like, "Well, I know he's going to rise again when he's resurrected at the great and last day." But Jesus was like, well, just trust in God. I can't remember what he said, but he just said, no, he's going to rise again, and just this is going to be with God's power. With God's power, nothing's impossible. So I also did a shade of purple on those cracks. So I think this is looking pretty good. One thing that I did is, because I colored so dark on this lip, I actually want this, at least on this one, I want this darkness to be even darker. So now I'm going to take another pass of blue, and I'm even going to put maybe a little bit of green mixed in there. So I'm going to do purple, blue, and green in there in this darkness. So I'm going to see how dark I can make it without using black. So I'm going to go to blue first. But yeah, when Jesus had compassion, and he loved Lazarus, he really did. And when he saw how sad everyone else was, that everyone was crying, it said he wept, he cried too. And the Jews took note of that. They were like, "Oh wow, Jesus is crying. Oh, how he loved Lazarus." And some people were commenting like, "Wow, I mean, can't this man," talking about Jesus, Jesus was able to open the eyes of the blind. He was able to cure sicknesses. Couldn't he have saved his friend? And of course he could have, but he wanted to show this, because up until this point, I mean, there were, I believe the prophet Elijah and Elisha. I believe both of them had used God's power. Those are other ancient Israelite prophets. They used power to raise people from the dead. a boy from the dead. But it was not a common miracle. I mean, having someone raised from the dead, that was, I mean, that's pretty remarkable, right? That's basically, one of the most ultimate miracles of someone coming back to life. And so, it didn't really even enter most of their brains probably that Jesus was even going to do that, right? Even though he did do that earlier, and I think in his ministry, it was before this, I believe, that there was a daughter that died, somebody's daughter that died. She came back to life. So at least once he had already raised someone from the dead. But for whatever reason, they just weren't thinking that that would happen this time. So Jesus goes and he says, you know what? Open the tomb. Open the tomb. And they're like, what? Why? By this time, he's going to smell. He's probably rotting. He's like, no, open the tomb. And let's do a pass of blue on this side. I won't do this one as dark. I'm going to do a pass of blue on this. And he goes and he says with a loud voice, Lazarus, come forth. And yeah, immediately Lazarus's spirit, Jesus is basically telling him, his spirit re-entered his body. Any sickness that was in his body is healed. And Jesus tells Lazarus to come forth. And his friend obviously recognizes his voice. And he starts walking out. And that's the miracle. That's the miracle of Lazarus being raised from the dead. So that's incredible. And, it was to show the people that they should not doubt, that they should really believe in Jesus. Miracles are real. You can trust in Jesus. You can believe on him. He really will save us from death and sin. So we can trust in Jesus. So I think this is looking pretty good. And I could stop here and it would be safe. But I'm going to do a little bit of a risk, and I'm going to mix in some green to this dark one over here. And we'll see how it goes. This is an experiment, but hey, experiments are good. So let's just mix in some green there. Let's see what happens. But yeah, Jesus totally has power over the grave. After Jesus died, he came back to life. God the Father gave him power to come back. And now Jesus can never die. Jesus is always alive. And this miracle is to show the people that, yeah, he was really the Son of God. He was really the Savior of the world. And of course, the bad people, I shouldn't say bad people, but a lot of people, even when this happened, they were like, oh no. For some reason, they just couldn't believe that this was, they were just jealous or whatever, but they just couldn't get over the fact that Jesus really was who they should believe in. And another pass of purple. Jesus was really, really the one, the promised Messiah. He was the Messiah that should come. The long-awaited Messiah. But they just weren't ready to, a lot of them weren't ready to accept it. There was pride, there was jealousy, envy. There was maybe just a little bit of power hungriness. They didn't want to give up their power. They didn't want to admit they were wrong. They didn't want to admit they were wrong and that there could be something new. Even though they thought they were, they knew almost everything that would happen. So we need to be open. We need to be open to learning what God wants to teach us. Because we don't know everything. We do not know everything. God knows everything. There's always new things that God wants to teach us. So we should be reading the scriptures, praying, and we should have a humble heart. We should be open to learning new things. That's what the Lord wants us to be. He wants us to be his children, have faith as children, to believe him, to trust in him, and to learn what he wants us to learn. All right. So I think that looks pretty good. Nice and dark, nice and colorful. Now, if we want, I'm going to add a little bit of shadow below Lazarus. So I'm going to take out my blue first, and very lightly I'm going to draw shade in just a kind of a oval, flat pancake shape below. Do the same over here. And we'll mix a little bit of purple in with that blue. All right. Now let's do a little bit. We'll do some extra things here. I'm going to get my red out. There's no red in this yet, so I'm going to give him a little rosy cheek. It's very lightly. I'll draw a little circle here. There's kind of room to do it here. Now, let's see, what else can we do to enhance this? I don't think I'll do too much more, but maybe I'll just, over here, I'll just very lightly just put a little bit of yellow and more warmth on this side, just to show that there he's walking into the light. He's walking towards Jesus. There's a cool song I like. It's called, I think it's called Teach Me to Walk in the Light. Teach me to walk in the light of his love. Teach me to pray to my Father above. It's a really good song. But yeah, let's have Lazarus walk to the light. I want to put some nice bright yellows over here, just very lightly. Okay, and there we have it. There's Lazarus. Thank you very much, guys. If you like this video, please subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments. This resource is for anybody that wants to learn about the Bible or art. This could be for a teacher or a parent, any type of Bible art lesson you want to give. And so if you like these videos, subscribe. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know if you have any requests of things that you want to see. And thank you very much, guys. Have a good day, and God bless.